Hey guys, today I want to cover some things. I want you to remember what Q has told us, and that is that you are watching a scripted movie. A scripted movie. And so, until we woke up, until the Spirit of Truth came in us and we started seeking out the truth, uh, the average person was just going along with the movie, being programmed, having no clue what was really going on. But once you woke up, you begin to realize that the media itself tells a narrative and explains things in such a way as to convince you or cast spells on you or perform sorcery on you. And eventually you realize that the media is literally a narrative, and that the narrative ain't necessarily always and usually is not the truth. The vast majority of people out there that are red pilled today absolutely believe that JFK Jr. is alive. They've done their research. They know for a fact that there is zero, literally zero evidence, zero proof, and zero facts as to the death of JFK Jr. And absolutely zero. The only thing that anyone has to go on as far as JFK Jr.'s death, the only thing anybody has to go on is a media narrative. A media narrative. So in other words, a movie that we watched. And that's the only proof, the only evidence, and the only facts that support JFK Jr., Carolyn Bessette, and his sister-in-law all dying in a plane wreck. Another one that we watched die was Joan Rivers, who came out and told everyone that, hello, Barack Obama's wife over there is a trainee. It's really a man-woman. She's, Michael Obama. And so Joan Rivers was caught alive in public 6 months after death, after she supposedly died. Now, this is by Asleep No More, and I'll put the link to this video in the show more below the video that you're currently watching. It'll be down in here, a link to the video that I'm about to show you. Now, this video is about 5 minutes and 31 seconds long, as you can see here, 5 minutes 31 seconds. I'm going to show you a few clips out of the video, and that's it. So I would suggest that you come over, click on the link below the video you're watching right now. Click on the link for Sleep No More, Joan Rivers caught alive in public 6 months after death, and come watch the video. There's also several other videos out there that have caught Joan Rivers, so you may want to do your research on this. It's pretty clear at this point that Joan Rivers is absolutely alive, and many of the people that quote-unquote suicided are still alive, such as Michael Jackson or Tupac or Isaac Cappy, and so forth and so on. So let's go ahead and watch a couple of the clips on this video here.
Can't get down.
Let's have a good dinner tonight.
Seriously, I cannot walk down this stair. You go.
Can I help you here?
I'm not kissing you. Thank you. Give me a hug, my
Five, how you doing, Five? Hey, Barbara.
I can't get down this
You
stair.
guys have a good dinner tonight.
Seriously, I cannot walk down this stair. You go.
Can I help you here?
Okay, I'm going to skip right here to the facial recognition part of the video. And again, guys, come and watch the entire video on your own. It's only 5 minutes, 31 seconds. The link will be in the show more. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show you on that video. Again, come watch the video for yourself, guys. Do your own research. It's important. It's very important that you do your own research. Don't depend on other people to research for you. You need to come to a conclusion on your own by doing your own research, using your own logical thinking and your own reasoning. And don't say because the growing awareness said, or because and we know said, or because SGD report said, or because so and so said. Don't do it that way. Go and do the research for yourself. What we tend to do is to provide you the links so that you can give you a starting point to do your own research into a matter, so you can come to the truth on your own and not according to what somebody told you. It's important that you learn to think for yourself and to study for yourself. Okay, next we're going to move on, guys, to Princess Diana. Okay, so we're over here on Z Ranch Lady, Hidden Diamonds, Child Trafficking. Twitter handle is Z Ranch Lady, and I'll have the link to her Twitter account in the show more below the video, as well as to this thread that she put out on Princess Diana. So let's go ahead and get started. This was 2 months ago. There's a total of 91 tweets, 61 minutes worth of reading. We'll go through it as quickly as we can. This will be a long video because this is a very long thread. And again, this was 2 months ago, and she is constantly adding to it. So this is the thread you'll want to come back to from time to time. She posted hashtag QAnon, what happened to Diana, hashtag Hidden Diamonds are everywhere. So we have the spades out there, we have the hearts out there. Now we're looking at the diamonds. So the hidden diamonds. Now it says this series will be posted on this thread in several, quote, parts, end quote, over the next week. This is personal research. It's based in truth, but some speculation has been required to piece together this theory. So she's making it clear from the beginning that we are dealing with a theory, okay, and that speculation is involved. And understand, and for those that are bakers and so forth and so on that really dig down and do their research, some amount of speculation is always required. There's no way around that. Speculation is required because you were not there at the time. You did not see it with your own eyes, and so and you do not have all information, and so some speculation is required in all research. Okay, so just understand that, and do understand that what we're about to read is her theory that is based on her personal research and based in truth. Okay, so a theory based on articles found online, historical family research, photo comparisons, and overlays. Okay, just like we saw with over there with Joan Rivers, overlays are important because overlays tell us whether or not a current person is somebody from the past or not, whether the features fit, does the nose fit, do the ears fit, does the chin fit, and so forth and so on. The lips and all the different contours of the face, do they match for the person that's alive today compared to the person that has supposedly passed away, or at least passed away in the movie, in the scripted movie that we're all watching. So, it says presented on one thread in several parts. Part 1. What really happened to Princess Diana, Princess of Wales, summer through fall 1960? In 1960, the Earl John Spencer and his wife Frances hired the Rothschild Antiquities out of Paris to renovate Spencer House. Apparently, the renovations were completed in time for the holiday season. Now, please understand, guys, that I'm not good at pronouncing French names and British names and stuff like that, so I may err and I may make mistakes. I just ask you to please get over it and to take the information for what the information is worth to you, not my pronunciation of the words. So Frances Ruth Roche Spencer, known by her title as Viscountess of Althorpe, had always adored antiquities and palatial quality decor. Her father was Maurice Roche, 4th Baron Fermoy, a friend of King George VI, an elder son of the American heiress Frances Work, and her first husband, the third Baron Fermoy. Dianna was born the following midsummer on July 1st, 1961. It dawned on me that she may have been conceived right around the time of pagan harvest moon rituals, which would have been right about the same time that the Rothschild Company was finishing renovations on Spencer House. Likely, there was a holiday, quote, celebration, end quote, at the completion. Undoubtedly, the Rothschilds would have been invited. Part 2. Dianna's blood. I always wondered why Dianna seemed so, quote, pretty, end quote, next to her seemingly more, quote, plain, quote, sisters. But when I was looking into the Rothschilds family, I happened to notice something. And so I'm going to let you look at the picture, guys, and then I'll just continue down. I may or may not suggest things in the pictures. I prefer not to suggest anything. I would rather allow your mind to decipher for itself what it finds, because you have been given intuition and understanding and the spirit of truth from the Father, and so you are fully capable of deciphering things on your own. But here are the sisters, and there's Dianna, and then it says, do you see what I see? Part 2 continued. Dianna looks an awful lot like Guy Rothschild. I wondered. Looks like Diana's mom wasn't so faithful of a Viscountess. Dianna even has his little smirk and that bit of a sleepy left eye. Yeah, Dianna looks very much like, quote, Guy, quote, Rothschild. She definitely had his nose. Hers just tweaks the opposite way. Male, female counterparts of the DNA, maybe? Okay, so clearly, Dianna never had a drop of Spencer blood in her. So let's theorize. Is it possible that Dianna was intentionally conceived during a harvest moon ball? Seriously, no pun intended. I mean, is it possible that Frances took the Rothschilds up on an offer? An offer like, give us a royal bloodline Rothschild princess for Charles, Prince of Wales. Help put Rothschild's blood in line to the throne through heirs, and we will set you up for life. Is that how she got her other identity? But I'm getting a little ahead of things. Now understand, guys, this is some speculation here about the moonball, the harvest moonball situation that you see right here, a harvest moonball. But remember that the wreck that we saw on TV in the scripted movie, the wreck that we saw was at Point-d'Alma Tunnel. Point-d'Alma Tunnel, which when translated means bridge or passage of the moon goddess. Look this up for yourself. I'm just interjecting this into what is she's posting in this thread. Again, guys, I've done my own personal research. I have a lot of information that's in this thread, but also outside of this thread that will help you to understand what has happened with Princess Dianna. Again, we all need to go and do our own personal research and come to our own conclusion on the matter, so we know what we saw and we know what we're seeing currently. Again, you are watching a scripted movie, but she died in the Point-d'Alma Tunnel, which is translated bridge or passage of the moon goddess. Part 3. What are we looking at? She got the double Q in for looking. Just as Diana's mother's plot thickens, we must pause to take a very close look at Diana's features. Many folks don't know that Dianna had freckles. Yep, lots of them. She must have had one heck of a makeup artist, is all I can say, because that girl had so many different looks. I wasn't sure if I was really seeing Dianna at times. The lovely princess also had rosacea, a skin condition that causes a rash if you get overheated or too much sun or stress. Many things can cause a breakout. Dianna had several key identifying features. Let's see if we can find the most noticeable ones. And it's hard to tell in the picture, but if you'll right click on it, save the image, and then zoom in on her, you will clearly see that she has a lot of freckles all over the place. Continued. We are all, well, most of us, familiar with Dianna's amazingly blue eyes and that cute little birthmark on her upper left lip. But Dianna had a couple other birthmarks and freckles she managed to hide really well with makeup. She had a rather good-sized birthmark on her middle left jawline, just down from her ear. And another smaller freckle just about an inch or so in front of it along her jaw. See the birthmark? Dianna hid it with makeup, but it's there. Look close at the ears too. So you can see the birthmark and the other birthmark in front of it. You can see the birthmark there and then the birthmark there and the other birthmark. And you can see the freckles that are all over the place. Besides the two barely noticeable birthmarks on Dianna's left jawline, there was one on the right side of her chin and one under her chin. Keynote: Dianna wore heavy eyeliner, usually in various shades of blue. It's a keynote, so always keep the keynotes in mind for later pictures. Dianna was tall. Actually, she was the same height as Charles. She loved heels though, but stayed as low as she could when, quote, the prince, end quote, was nearby. Keynote: keep an eye on jewelry that shows up later in odd places. So you can see the heights, so that you can tell that they're about the same height, and she would always try to keep her height the same as, so she wouldn't be taller than the prince. Part 4. Mummy. Harry's pet name for Dianna. We all remember her sorrow. She said, quote, I was just breeding cow, end quote, after Charles kicked her aside when she produced the expected heir and a spare. Had she been aware of her true bloodline? What about the falling out with her mother? Earl Spencer died in 1992, and Dianna took it very hard. He was, after all, the only father she'd known. Also, her friendship with Fergie, Duchess of York, Prince Andrew's wife, suffered a falling out, supposedly over a, quote, smelly shoe, quote, comment. Okay. Continued. I always found it a bit fishy that Dianna would so easily take offense at a smelly shoe comment from the Duchess of York, that it would cause an end to their friendship. I think there's much more to it than that. I reflect that Sarah, quote, Fergie, end quote, may have confided to Dianna about her own marriage troubles with Andrew, and possibly revealed his penchant for, quote, little girls, end quote. Andrew and Charles both were friends with Jimmy Savile, and rumors were flying about Andrew visiting the renowned Pedophile Island with Jeffrey Epstein. And we know a lot about Epstein Island, and we know a lot about Jeffrey Epstein because of the things that have come up in the news and because of the Q posts. I think Dianna was getting wiser as she got older and started putting two and two together. She may have ended her relationship with Sarah for very different reasons than just a, quote, smelly shoe, end quote. And here's the article that she's referencing here, and I'll pull that up briefly, but I'll have the link to it in the show more below the video you're watching. So it's over here on newspunch.com, and it's Jimmy Savile and Prince Charles, the pedophile connection. It's not that long of an article, but it, you know, you can go watch it. And they have a source down here where you can continue your research. Okay, part 4 continued. I remember reading articles that showed what an awesome mother Dianna was. She would sometimes, while she and Charles were still together, sneak the boys from their beds late at night and take them on excursions, sometimes for fun, sometimes to show them that what life was like for normal people, and other times to visit the sick. She taught them respect for those who had less. Dianna was fully aware that should she seek a divorce from Charles, she would not be able to take the boys with her. I think she went to her mother for advice, and that's when the falling out with her mother likely happened. Would Dianna's mother have told Dianna that the boys belonged to, quote, the family, end quote, and not to her as their mother? Speculation, I know. But then why, in a tearful interview, did Dianna say, quote, it seems I am just a breeding cow, end quote? Okay, so why would she say that? A theory, what really happened to Dianna. Part 4 continued. Did Dianna's mother advise her not to leave Charles? Did Frances Shand Kidd admit to her daughter that she made a deal with the Rothschild clan to produce Jewish German heirs to the throne? That would make just about any woman not speak to her mother for a very long time, by my way of thinking. Quote, the family, end quote, that the boys belonged to, in Frances' mind, would be the Rothschilds. If Frances made the deal, I think she did, back in 1960, not the British royal families. So the children wouldn't have belonged to the British family, they would have belonged to the Rothschilds. Then, in 1995, Dianna and Charles separated, and something else happened that holds great significance to this theory. Dianna met with JFK Jr., and the tabloids went wild. And for most people that were, I mean, I remember this clearly, but for most people that were alive back then, when she went and saw John F. Kennedy Jr., the tabloids went nuts over this secret affair that was going on, and that was the narrative that the paparazzi or the media decided to put out to everyone, and it's hard to forget that episode that they brought out. What's Dianna got to do with the takedown of the deep state, corruption, child trafficking? Okay, so Dianna met with JFK Jr. in 1995, so that's about 6 years before JFK Jr. Presents the fatal plane wreck movie scene of his demise to outdo the deep state. What was the meeting really about? While the tabloids went wild with speculation over a possible affair, John Jr. was not consulting with the princess. John Jr. was just consulting with the princess over a sketch of her as a cover for his magazine, George. Dianna, sitting in a dark car surrounded by paparazzi. That's the, they were going over, see, Princess Dianna went over to see JFK Jr. because JFK Jr. had this concept for a George magazine cover of her sitting in a car, in a very dark car, so she's going into the darkness, and the paparazzis are all around her taking pictures in this car. Okay, the same thing that we end up seeing on the movie scene. She put, I can't find the photo of that drawing anywhere right now, but have put in a request with other QAnons who may have nabbed a copy, and will post it attached to this tweet if I find it. And then she gives this link right down here and I'll show you that link real quickly. Okay, so over here on Town and Country Mag, here's what really happened when JFK Jr. met Princess Dianna. Okay, so there they are. And then it says John F. Kennedy secretly met with Princess Diana in New York, and ever since there has been much speculation over exactly what happened in her suite at the Carlisle Hotel that day. According to Rosemary Terenzio, JFK Jr.'s executive assistant, who accompanied him to the hotel that day, the hour-and-a-half long meeting in Diana's suite was more innocent than those rumors would have you to believe, People reports. The two simply talked about Diana appearing on the cover of JFK Jr.'s political magazine, George, but organizing the meeting wasn't easy at all. And now, I'll leave the link and you guys can come down and read the entirety of the article yourself. This one's a decent-sized article, and it does include a video. Okay, next. There it is. There it is. So here you have the magazine, the George. And you have her sitting in a dark. It's dark inside the car, in a car, and then on the reflection of the car, you've got the paparazzis taking all their pictures. And again, this is Princess Diana going into the dark. Okay, that's the cover that he was going to put on his magazine. That's JFK Jr. So 1995, JFK Jr. meets with Diana at the Carlisle Hotel, New York City. He is there to discuss a, quote, cover, quote, for his magazine George, featuring the princess. This is a draft of the mock-up drawing. Now, things are starting to get thick. I'm venturing a guess here that Diana wanted out after getting wind of an attempt to assassinate her. That's when she wrote a letter to her butler, Paul Burrell, stating, quote, they plan to kill me in a bad car accident, end quote. What if, quote, the plan, end quote, was actually a plan to stage a fake accident? Was Diana covering her tracks? Did she beat the monarchy to it by pulling off her own demise with JFK Jr.'s help? After all, they were both connected to celebrities who had kids who were aspiring actors. They had access to the tech they needed, camera crews, even costumery, and motorbikes. Did she manage, with massive help from friends, to dupe the monarchy and make it look like they accomplished their goal? Diamond, I see paparazzi. Again, the paparazzi are reflecting off of the car inside the dark tunnel. Was this horrible car crash that, quote, killed, end quote, the beloved princess all really just a staged, quote, movie scene, end quote, designed to help her get away? I'd submit that's exactly what it is. All photos from the night are extremely blurry. And this is interesting because when you look at a lot of the photos of Princess Diana back in those times, there was no blurriness. They were nice pictures. They were wonderful pictures. But when it came to this car wreck, they were all blurry. Everything about that night and that situation and everything that went on was all blurry. Why is that? Dodi had 3 separate identical cars stationed at front, back, and side exits of the Ritz. Did they use doubles to mislead paparazzi? Was the first car to leave, surrounded by motorbikes, the one that Diana and Dodi were in? Cameras were off in the tunnel. Why? I suspect the first paparazzis entering the tunnel were all actors, there to swarm the wreckage car to keep the real paparazzi from getting any good photos. End of part 4. Okay, so we already read all this to get the good photos, and then she adds this. It took real paparazzi almost a full 7 minutes to catch up and enter the tunnel after the crash. Plenty of time to turn off the inner tunnel cameras, bring in a tow truck delivering an already wrecked duplicate vehicle, drop it, tow truck out and gone, doubles in place in wrecked car. And Diana and Dodi safely in a white Fiat Uno, or something similar, that no one would look twice at. Then, while the wreck scene transpired and Diana got away, it takes the ambulance 14 full minutes to get there, and It slowly crawls, stopping periodically, to the hospital furthest away. More actors. That was very interesting when we were watching all that. Why did it keep stalling? Why did it keep coming to a crawl? And it would stop periodically and all these things going. And it went to the farthest imaginable hospital from the tunnel. Most people that are alive that watched this and witnessed this can clearly remember this. The very youngest generation, maybe not so. Dianna back to the Ritz. Did she go back to the hotel? I assume that may have been the safe house, as no one would suspect to see them. Hunkering down for a month or so, maybe until the Dianna funeral was over and the world accepted she was really gone. Then, a nose and chin job, so no one recognizes her, and she shows up in Paris with her mom. She puts, "I think I found her." Part 5. Ondine. Ondine. That's a rare and unique name. Let's look closer. Ondine. Descrambled is Dion. Dion. A derivative of Diane. Okay, so now we have Dianna connection to a gal named Ondine de Rothschild, who I discovered while looking into whether Dianna was a Rothschild or not. And, quite oddly, Ondine's mother looks strikingly like Dianna's mother. And then, as a note, could easily look with a full facelift herself. I'm going to pop this up and just let you guys look at it and read it and make your own decisions. Use your own mind, your own logical thinking. So, who is Ariane Doldway, and why does she not only look like Princess Diana's mother, but on occasion wears jewelry that eerily looks like the princess's favorite pieces she wore frequently? That last one on the right is Ariane Doldway, I think that's how you say it. Gallery owner, Paris, aka 1960, 1995, 2007. Amazing what buku bucks for a total facelift will do, ain't it? By the way, she kind of went into hiding herself just a couple years after, quote, the crash, end quote. Still doing Dianna Ondine comparisons. Ondine, we looked at all this kind of stuff. It says, okay, so now we know, now we have a Dianna connected to a gal named Ondine de Rothschild, and we've read that. This is where you really have to study the details and what you are looking at, Those toes and that foot arch and ankle are identical. Looks like a nose and chin lift to me. Ondine. Dianna, do those footsies match? So let's just pop this up, let you get in and look at it real good, and then we'll move on. So Ondine and Dianna, by the way, to those pointing out the birthmark on Ondine's lip is higher than Diana's, just so you know, Dianna had loads of freckles and birthmarks she keenly hid with makeup. There actually were 2 above that lip. So I'll just blow this one up for you, let you guys look at it for yourself. going to insert my thought here. Diana could not take the boys with her when she divorced Charles, and she also knew that if she had to fake her own death, she couldn't take the boys with her then either. What's a mother to do? I think she used the very people who duped her. Hi, Mom. Okay, part 5. Undine, a closer look. This is where you really have to study the details of what you're looking at. Zoom in. Some overlays may be used in these photo comparisons. Undine, that's a rare and unique name. Let's look closer. Undine descrambled is Dion, a derivative of Diana. So let's compare the ears and then compare the lips and the jawline. See the little scar on her chin? Cosmetic implants would make Diana's chin seem more square. So I'll pop this up, let you guys look at it as well. This one here is comparison of the ears between Undine and Diana, and then this is the lips and the jawline between Undine and Diana. Then we have this one, and it says, now let's look at birthmarks, freckles, and other matching features between Diana and Undine and their mothers. So we'll just zoom in here and let you look at them. So you got Undine and you got Diana Frances Rothschild, kid Spencer, and you can just look at the details between the two of them, come to your own conclusions. Look at this one. Then we'll look at this one. Remember, she said keynote, watch the jewelry showing up. So, just for good measure, we'll just toss in Diana's lost love, supposedly, or was it all a ruse? Dodi AI Fade, who just happens to be Undine's friend. So Undine and friend is here, and then this is Diana's Dodi Fade, and then this is Dodi Fade, Princess Diana's last love. So you decide for yourself, use your own reasoning, your own logic, your own eyes, your own abilities. And we'll get a little closer just so you can see really well. Okay, so Undine showed up in Paris in the early 2000s. No one can seem to find any early photos of her. After Diana's, quote, accident, end quote, her mother, Frances Shane, a kid, was seen staying as close as she was allowed to get to her grandsons and the royals until, poof, one day she just wasn't around anymore. Some reports say she isolated herself on a private island and spent the rest of her life doing Catholic charities work. Hard for me to believe that one. How many coincidences does it take? Again, so Undine showed up in Paris in the early 2000s. No one can seem to find any early proofs of her. She just, boom, here she is. It's out of nowhere. Didn't exist prior. Go ahead and look at a bigger zoom in on all this. So, Ondine showed up in Paris in the early 2000s. No one can see this is the same thing. But here's some more photos. Compare how the hair falls, teeth, lines around the mouth and eyebrows. So here's Diana's mother, and here's Ondine's mother, and here's Frances Shand Kidd, Diana's mother, and then Ariane Dundoz. Twins? I don't think so. Diana's mother and Ondine's mother, Ariane Dundoz, and illegitimate Rothschild daughter, Ondine de Rothschild. So Diana's mother. So now that this thread has taken you through many images and a slew of details and perceptions, I'd like to finish up the week by closing this theory. For now, with a synopsis and a few more newer Diana pics. I believe Frances Shand Kidd made a deal with the Rothschild family to produce a female child to be raised, to be prepped as the potential Princess of Wales. I believe, in return, Frances received a large bestowment from the Rothschilds, which included the Ariane Dundoz identity and the Galleria that she was owner of. What I discovered about the Ariane Dundoz was that she was a secret mistress to Elie Rothschild for most of her life, until he died. A couple years later, she sold the gallery in 2006. She and Ondine purchased a New York townhouse, and here is the reference link to that. And this here is the actual article, Rothschild ex-mistress, love child battling condo board in a $6 million suit. So I'll put the link in the show more below the video. You guys can come check it out for yourself. I think when Diana set up the fake car crash with help of celebrity friends, she knew where she was going already. I think she may have even told Will, but the sorrow on little Harry's face could not have been faked. Diana herself probably grieved the loss of who she thought she was, a princess. Her mother and the Rothschilds had created for their own personal gain. If you were in Diana's shoes, what would you have done? She had info on pedophilia and possibly child trafficking going on inside the palaces of England et al. She knew she was targeted and had to get to real safety, or those boys were going to lose their mother. She was not going to let them take those boys from her. So she made peace with her mother and got to know her Rothschild's family connections starting in France. Staying close to the Rothschilds clan was not only safer, it was the only way she was going to be able to pull off seeing her sons. Did you know she showed up at Will and Kate's wedding? We've established that Dianna was a Rothschild, not a Spencer, evidenced by her mother's shenanigans. That Dianna looks much more like Guy Rothschild than Ellie, even though Diana's mother was secret mistress to Ellie Rothschild most of her life, probably starting around the same time she married Earl Spencer or shortly after. Dianna had help likely from JFK Jr. and friends to pull off a fake movie scene car wreck, an ambulance scenario to help she and Dodie get away. Dianna had work done on her nose and chin after the accident. She stayed for a time in Paris, apparently living with her mother. A man resembling Dodie Fade, 20 years older, is a friend of Ondine de Rothschild. When Ariane Dandois closed her Rothschild-funded art gallery, she had already co-purchased a townhouse in New York with daughter, Ondine de Rothschild. Ondine, scrambled, is Dione. Dione is a derivative of Diane. Now what? So I started asking myself a few questions. Why would Dianna make peace with her mother after what her mother did to her? The only thing I can think of was that Dianna was bound and determined not to die, not to let the monarchy be able to get to her in any way. So she chose to settle herself securely within the Rothschilds family kingdom as protection, and so that she would be able to find a way to see the boys. This is where the twist comes in. I thought about the article I read where Ariane Dandois was closing her gallery in Paris because she said, "My daughter didn't want to take over the business." I wondered if Ariane Dandois is even still living in 2018, 2019. I can't find an obituary. Diana's mother, Frances Shand Kidd, is reported to have passed away in 2004, but that's fake as heck if Ariana and Ondine are Frances and Diana, as I firmly believe they are. Whatever happened to Frances Shand Kidd, aka Ariane Dandois, and which identity was her real one? Since she's either gone now or very likely on her way out, she may be living in New York, since that's where the townhouse is that I found an article on said she and Ondine were. But I don't think Diana held onto the Ondine persona for long. I think the temporary chin implants came out after a few years, and other than the nose being straightened, Diana went back to looking much like she had before. That, quote, disguise, end quote, was just temporary. And the reason I think that is because I looked at the time frame and realized Diana, Ondine, may have gotten remarried, which immediately triggered the thought, any more kids? And then this one here is the same one that we already read. Any more kids? Well, I took a peek at Facebook looking for Ondine de Rothschild and found Ariane de Rothschild. That's who she found. So here is Ariane de Rothschild. Here's Princess Diana. This is the one that solidly convinced me. Now, they take the Ariane de Rothschild and Princess Diana. They take Princess Diana and overlay her on top of Ariane de Rothschild, and this is what you get here. at 41% transparency. Okay, this is part 2, and we've already seen it. So here is Ariane de Rothschild. And then when you look at Princess Diana compared to Ariane, looking at their ear shapes and all these kinds of different things, you can see here's Ariane, here's Princess Diana's ear. So there it is. So who is Ariane de Rothschild? So you got Lady Diana Spencer, 13 years old, Princess Diana, 19, 20 to 25 years old, Diana at 30, 35 years old. And I'll just let you look over the picture. And if I'm going too fast, I apologize. I'm trying to make the video shorter. But again, I'll have the link to the entire thread in the show more below the video you're watching. Here is a video on YouTube, and we'll go to the actual YouTube channel and we'll play it. But we're just going to play the audio part of it where she's speaking.
But that they become true role models for Israeli society. The other point is really to try and look for gaps in society, typically in Israel, in education, in which I feel we might have a greater contribution by being more innovative and impactful. Our family has very close ties to Israel for more than 130 years, and it began with my husband's great-grandfather, the so-called Hanadiv. My father-in-law was highly committed as well, and created this joint partnership between our foundation and the State of Israel. It was a way to renew his vows and his engagement to the State of Israel. I'm extremely honored, and all the more that my father-in-law in '62, when he wrote the bylaws of the foundation, he specifically had mentioned Technion as one of the leading universities for education. So it's not only vis-a-vis Technion, it's vis-a-vis my family as well. I have the feeling I did the full loop.
Okay, and as far as who I believe is Princess Diana on Twitter is Peacock6 or at LoveBling6. Conservative JFK Jr Alive, Carolyn and John Alive, Hi Elvis, followed by at Glenn Flynn, Permanent Nice List, Keep America Great, followed by at Pastor Bob Joyce, Pastor Bob Joyce, Hi Elvis, and so forth and so on. So anyways, this is who I believe it is. Like I said, I messaged her, asked her if she was Princess Diana. I have not heard back from her, so your guess is as good as mine. And again, this is my opinion. This is not fact. This is just who I have concluded based on a lot of things is Princess Diana on Twitter. So you may want to follow her as well, and I will put the link to her Twitter account as well in the show more. I'll talk with you guys later.